Day 400 of doing a LeetCode problem every day until I get a job. All right, y'all, we're back again, another day, another LeetCode problem, and this time we made it all the way to day 400, y'all, where we have been doing LeetCode problems consistently for 400 days straight, y'all. So if you've been keeping up with this channel, salute to y'all. We're still going strong. I don't see any signs of slowing down anytime soon. So let's get started, see what the question says. Or today, we have question number 442. Find all duplicates in an array. The difficulty level is medium, but don't worry because you already know we're going to keep the solution as simple and easy to understand as possible. But before we get started, y'all, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you need any new Apple AirPods, go in and check out that link in the description so you can get you some. Now let's see what the question says. Given an integer, whoa, there it is. Given an integer array nums of length n where all the integers of nums are in range 1 to n and each integer appears at most twice, return an array of all the integers that appears twice. You must write an algorithm that runs in big O of n time and uses only constant auxiliary space, excluding the space needed to store the output. All right, y'all, so that sounds simple enough, but let's go ahead and take a look at these examples anyway, just to make sure that we're doing this problem correctly. So in example 1, we have the input nums equals an array of integers 4, 3, 2, 7, 8, 2, 3, and 1. Output is 2 and 3. Output is 2 and 3 because 2 and 3 are the numbers that appeared more than once or have duplicates. We have a 2 right here, we have a 2 right here. Boom. So we can append that to the output. Then we have a 3 right here and we have a 3 right here. Boom. So we can append that to the output. Every other number in this array besides 2 and 3 only appears once, so we're not going to include that in our output. We're only outputting the numbers that have duplicates, and 2 and 3 are the only numbers with duplicates. So let's take a look at example 2, even though it's the same principle, but let's go through it anyway. So in example 2, we have the input nums equals an array of integers 1, 1, and 2. The output is 1 because 1 is the integer that appears twice, right? So it says each integer appears at most twice. So no integers are going to appear more than twice. We just want to find the numbers that appear twice, and in this case 1 is the number that appears twice, so our output is 1. Example 3, we have the input nums equals an array of integers with only one integer, and that integer is 1. Since there are no duplicates, we could just return a blank array. So if there's no duplicates, we could return a blank array. Simple enough, right? Now we have to remember we have to use only constant auxiliary space, which means no dictionaries. I know a dictionary would have helped us solve this problem, but that will be we can't do that. There's too much space, so we're gonna have to find another way. Now let's get started with that other way, y'all, with the fun part, the part that all brings us here, the actual solution. Now the first thing we need to do is we're going to create a mutable copy of the input array because we will modify its value. So for that, we could just declare a variable called nums, and we'll set that equal to nums. Then we're going to create our result array, which will store the numbers that appear more than once, i.e. the duplicates. So for that, we could just declare result, and as you can see, our output is an array of integers. So what do you think our result's going to be? You guessed it, it's going to be an array of integers. So we open square bracket and put the parentheses outside just like that. Now we need to iterate through each number in the array. So we're going to say for num in nums, then we're going to open up the bracket. So the numbers in the array are from range 1 to n, and each number can we're going to map each number to an index, and to map the number num to an index, we're going to use num minus 1 because it's a zero indexed array. So num minus 1 is going to get us the index of the integer. But the trick here is that we will use the positive or negative sign of the value at that index to tell us whether we've seen this number before. So the first time we see a number or num, we're going to flip the sign of nums minus 1 to a negative, right? And if we see this number again, then we will flip the number back to a positive, or nums num minus 1 num minus 1 will already be a negative. So by multiplying it by -1, we will make it a positive. And if we do that, that will tell us that the number has already been flipped to a negative. So that means we have a duplicate. So for that, we're going to say nums square bracket num minus 1. Then we're going to say times equals -1. So once again, when we do this, this is going to flip the number to either a negative or a positive, right? Because we're multiplying it by -1. So if we multiply first, if there's only one of that element, we'll flip it and it'll stay -1. But if we come across that element again and we do the same a negative times a negative, if we already flipped the number to a negative, that means we've seen it once. Because remember, it's only going to appear at most twice, so we don't have to worry about it flipping too many times. So if we flip it the first time, boom, it goes to a negative. If we come across that number again and we flip it again by multiplying a negative times a negative, and now that number becomes a positive, that means we've seen it twice. So that's what we're using this for. It's going to allow us to see if we've seen the number twice by changing it to a negative and then changing it back to a positive. Then we're going to check if after flipping the sign, if it's positive, then it means the index was already negative, right? So that means it was a duplicate. So we can say if nums square bracket num minus 1 is greater than dot 0. So if it's greater than 0, that means it's a positive, right? So then that means we found a duplicate, so we can add it to the result array. So to add it to the result array, we just say result dot append, open up the parentheses, and we can say num, just like that. Then after finishing the loop, we return the list of duplicates that we found. So we just come right here and we say return result. And that's all she wrote, y'all. I told you the solution was going to be simple and easy to understand. So let's go ahead and run it. Make sure it runs properly before we submit it. It's accepted, so let's go ahead and submit it. Make sure it's still accepted after we submit it. Let's see. Ooh, look at that, y'all. 0 milliseconds beats 100% of users. That's what I'm talking about. Those are the numbers that I like to see. So with that being said, y'all get one more look at the code, and I hope y'all learned something today, and I hope to see y'all here tomorrow for another day, another LeetCode problem. See y'all then.